Mr. Lu, now HDB resale flats are rising and rising, rising. Crazy prices right now, you know. So three-room flat right now, 800,000. Five-room flat right now, 1.7 million. Wow, piang wei, you know. Are you happy or sad, ladies and gentlemen? Is the government going to do anything? Or maybe the government won't, right? Let's analyze today who are the winners, who are the losers, and what's going to likely happen, shall we? So unless you have been living in the mountains, you must have seen all the HDB resale prices breaking records after records after records in Singapore. And most likely you're going to have some emotions out of it, right? You are either going to be happy or sad. Rarely no feelings about it because you are either a winner or loser in this whole thing, depending who you are. And today, let's analyze who are the winners and losers. And more importantly, is the government going to do anything? So let's watch. So these are eye-catching headlines. Right now, a five-room flat in Dawson has now broke record at $1.73 million. A three-room HDB Toa Payoh has sold for $808,000, breaking record in the estate. Most expensive HDB in Bishan sold for $1.568 million. A low floor executive flat in Tampines broke $1.14 million, and so on. Right? You see all this news almost again and again and again, almost on a weekly basis, to the point that you're actually sian about this news already. I'm inundated by this news already, right? So when you see this news, it suddenly stirs up some emotions here and there. But I think this is going to be the norm going forward for quite some time, unless we see certain regulatory regime changes. So these are not anecdotal, one-off kind of a record. In the past 1 year or so, when we see numbers like this, we keep telling ourselves that, oh, these are one-off, these are one-off, these are one-off. These are not one-offs already. And you see that? Those people who keep saying that is one-off get to get their mind checked. It used to be that we say that, when the HDB were breaking 1 million, we say that these were one-offs, unlikely to continue. Well, not only has it continued to break new records. And right now, we are hitting $1.7 million for HDB flats as a record. We used to think that 1.5 million, 1.6 million, 1.7 million are crazy numbers we'll never reach. We are here now. And I used to think that when people say that HDB one day break 2 million, I think it will happen, it will happen. And I think it might even happen sooner than what people might think. HDB resale flat prices are certainly going up phenomenally. The overall numbers are reflecting that as well, right? The HDB resale flat has went up 2.1% in Q2, okay, because there's a tight supply and firm demand. This is not just a one-off number. Since COVID, the number has been going up and up and up. These are the numbers tracking. It's going up every quarter, phenomenally, significantly. And this is the 17th consecutive quarter where prices have increased. 17 quarters. 17 times 3 months is many, many, many months, right? It also boils down a question that I used to think that the government will intervene, but I've actually think that if they want to intervene, they will have intervened and not wait until the 17th quarter. That's okay. There'll be winners and losers, and as long as I'm on the winner side, I'm okay. A few property talks ago, we have said that the number of HDB flats breaking 1 million will continue to rise significantly, and it did, right? It did. So the number of HDB resale flats that hit 1 million have broke all-time record and set to grow increasingly more. And it's not just the $1 million HDB flats across the board. Resale flats for all flat types, mature, non-mature, all have risen significantly. And just to give you some details, mature estate and non-mature estate increased by 2.6%. and 1.3% respectively. So mature estate will go up more than the non-mature. Three-room flats have increased by 1.6%, and four-room flats increased by 1.8%, five-room 1.6%, executive 1.1%. So all across the board, whether mature, non-mature, all flat types, everything has increased. It's a case where the sea level has risen and all the boats and ships have risen as well, regardless of the size. Now, this is a very interesting chart. It actually shows the median prices. For those people who are statistically not familiar, median means the middle point of all the transaction. I'll just highlight a few to you. So in Bishan, the five-room flat medium resale flats is $985,000, which means half of it is below, half of it is on top. So which means that there are a hell of a lot of transactions that are above 985,000, which means most of the transactions are hitting a million and above. So this is not a trivial number anymore. In Bukit Merah, all the 5-room flats are transacted is about 1.03 million, which means everything else are all above a million. This is the same situation for 4-room flats in Geylang, 4-room flats in Kallang at Whampoa, and 5-room flats as well. Queenstown, Toa Payoh, all these are almost all these flats, half of them are above $1 million, right? So these are no longer just anecdotal, small, one-off, whatsoever. These are all big mega transactions. The whole sea level has risen up, and all the flats, all the ships, and all the sampans, and all the boats have all risen up. So clearly, owners of HDB flats should all be happy because we're all getting richer and richer and richer. Never mind its paper wealth, but our wealth has indeed increased significantly. The number of $1 million flats is also on an uptrend. So if you see here right now, the number of $1 million transactions has reached a high of 96 units in June. And I assume in July it's going to break new record, breaking 100 units or so. And where are these being located, right? Most of them, surprisingly, is in Geylang and Kallang, right? Bukit Merah, Toa Payoh has quite a lot of it. Yishun has 3, and the rest have a few, okay? So clearly, the number of $1 million flats is on an upward trend. Let's see the profile of this $1 million flat, shall we? Now, this 5-room flat at Sky Oasis at Dawson has set new high of $1.73 million. And I think it's mainly the location, right? It is very near the MRT station, 10 minutes walk from Queenstown, 3-minute walk from Margaret Drive Hawker Center, one of my favorite hawker center. And it has 96 years remaining lease. I thought you cannot sell unless it is 5 years and above, right? This must have certain approvals and things like that. It's a very new flat, okay, $1.7 million. Congratulations to the sellers. I don't know what to say about the buyer, but congratulations to the sellers indeed. It's very high, 45 floors. So it's a very lovely skyline that you can see very far. And it's very spacious at about 1,200 square feet. So it is a very unique and special case. A 3-room Toa Payoh with 93 years remaining lease left broke 800,000. Again, it's also a very high floor, 34 to 36 floor, 731 square feet, quite small by my standard. But it's very near MRT stations, okay? Caldecott MRT station and Braddell MRT station, near to Toa Payoh West Food Hawker Center, which is one of the great ones, and near a lot of primary schools as well. So it's pretty good in its location. So houses is all about location, location, location. And this is a Bishan one, 1.568 million, 4th highest in Singapore. High floor as well, 30 overfloor also, 1,300 square feet. Not that near MRT, 20 minutes in Singapore, but standard is not walkable. 19 minutes to the hawker center. So this is not that good a location in terms of walking proximity to places, but it's near Catholic High. It is a good school. And, Bishan has always been a very atas, environment. I even have someone saying that, you people stay in Jurong, Yishun, all these, you are considered low class, We people stay in Bishan, we're higher class. Actually, really got people actually say that to me. I'm very surprised. And then this is the one that caught my surprise. Tampines low floor executive, 4th to 6th floor only, very spacious, 2,000 square feet, that's very big. 13-minute walk to Tampines MRT, and it has only got 58 years left in his lease, broke a million, 1.14 million. Very interesting to see that basically, even not so exciting units like this have broke all-time high and things like that. It is a case very clear that everything is going up. Therefore, the good ones will go up more. The not so good one will also go up, but not go up as much. So some of the common attributes are these. They are generally high floors, not all the case, generally high floors, many years left in their lease. Most of them are near to some form of amenities or schools. They are primary schools, especially, they are oversubscribed and things like that. So all these are factors that help it lift up the price to some significant level. The question really is, why is the overall resale flat rising and rising and rising? Well, we have said it before, we'll just say it again. There is really a tightness in supply at a significant level, and there's a very strong demand. The tightness in supply is because there are much more fewer flats reaching their minimum occupation period in 2024 than 2023. This is a supply situation where there are now fewer flats reaching their minimum occupation period in 2024. And therefore, if supply will be cut, the demand will push the prices up significantly. Well, the government is trying to do a lot in this area. They have ramped up supply of flats significantly to try to catch up with the increasing demand. But flats are not fried rice and chicken rice, You don't produce this very quickly. You take a long time. So as a result, every analyst and every media is basically saying that don't expect a significant drop in HDB resale price soon. And a lot of people are choosing resale flats instead of BTO is because the resale flats location are bigger. You can get it faster. And right now, BTO flats, which have a good location, has a 10-year minimum occupation period. And there's some people say that, no, I don't want to wait for 10 years, right? And let's not forget that there's a lot of downgraders from landed property and private property owners that sold their flats. They have been waiting for the 15 months period, and now it's over. They now land right smack with huge amount of cash onto HDB resale market. And this basically lifted up the price of resale flats. And that's where we are today. With the rising resale HDB flats, most Singaporeans should be very happy. Our paper wealth has gone up tremendously, right? Even Mr. Lu, who is generally more public spirited in this area, I must say that I see the paper wealth increasing, even though I know it's just paper wealth, even I know it's KKK asset. The frank truth is that, I also feel good about it, right? As in many cases, when they are winners, they are losers also. Let's not be blind to it. Let's take a look at who are the winners and who are the losers. So not only does the existing HDB flat owners gets richer and wealthier and therefore should be happier, the young Singaporeans should also be happy, right? They can easily buy a BTO flats and later sell them at huge profits, right? Never mind the 5-10 year wait, as long as your resale flats will give you a high profits. We're now looking at, potentially even $500,000 profit for some of these HDB flats when you buy them from a BTO and sell them much later. The profits are very, very significant. So young Singaporeans should be happy. And I really urge young Singaporeans as much as possible go after the BTOs, right? If you go and buy a resale, the uplift in the value may be a lot less. I think BTO will enable you to reap this kind of profits. The retirees can now sell their expensive flats and realize value if you can stay with your children and live off the profits. Or, like Mr. Lu, think of migrating to JB when it's time for retire. You can easily buy a very, very big landed property in Malaysia for a lot less than a 4-room flat can bring you in Singapore. It is an option that you can pursue if you can sell your flats and not having a need to buy another one in Singapore and live off that money for retirement. So as much as these people wins, there must be losers, right? It's almost a zero-sum game. So let's see who are the losers, right? So the first timer who wants their flat earlier, clearly in some sense are losing out, because although there are higher housing grants, but there's a limit to how much this grant can offset the cost. So when I saw that the government some time back increased the grants of resale flat, I know this is one of the reasons going to drive the flat prices up. So when the prices goes up, become a zero-sum game, right? So clearly, those people who cannot wait to get a flat will now have to pay a higher cost. This adds to the pain of inflation in Singapore, especially for this group of people who cannot wait or cannot afford to wait for first-timers. And most of the case, I think these first-timers who cannot wait to buy BTO flats, my take is that some of them really timing cannot wait. I think a lot of them, because their income ceiling is now too high, they don't meet the income ceiling requirement, so they have to buy resale and therefore pay a much higher price. So another group of people who lose out are the singles and PRs. The singles cannot buy BTO. It's a government policy that you need to form a family unit, and therefore they can't buy BTOs right now. So to buy a resale flat, and resale flats are so expensive right now, they have to pay for it alone. I think that's very, very tough. Okay, that's very, very tough. And I think this is a time where the government should consider at least opening up the 3-room flats, BTOs for the singles, right? They'll be priced out of the market. They alone cannot pay for resale HDB. Many of them certainly cannot afford to buy private property, and they are being caught in a very, very, very difficult situation. The other group are the PRs. Now, I know a lot of people say PR are not Singaporeans. We are Singaporeans. Singaporeans don't really care about them. The Singapore government don't really care about them. But I think the PRs do contribute to our economy as well. A lot of them are just waiting to convert their citizenship. Their offspring may be citizen as well. We actually welcome them. If you are willing to commit your life, your next generations to come into Singapore, we should welcome them. But they are also priced out of the market, right? So of course, our need to help them goes a lot less than our own Singaporeans. But certainly, we need to realize that the PRs are also priced out of the market. And we have potentially less of them wanting to come to Singapore because they simply can't afford it. This group of people are the people that deserve the least sympathy, but they are also the losers. These are the downgraders from condos and landed property. So they sold their expensive multi-million-dollar landed house and condos and came down to HDB so that they can realize the value of their appreciated house. So they try to monetize their private property and suddenly receive cash, and they want to use that cash to live off. So they buy HDB. These are what I call downgraders. But right now, you sell a private house for $2, $3, $4 million, and you buy HDB for $1 million over dollars. It used to be probably a lot more cash that you can redeem from this sale. Right now, it's gone somewhat less. Of course, someone say, yeah, they still have a lot of money. That is true, okay? But I think from the planning perspective, that margins that they can make is a lot less already. The situation is so alarming that even property experts are now saying that it will be a sad day if the price of HDB were to converge with EC and the lower spectrum of private property one day. And basically, what they are saying is that do not look at this one-off prices that's going up as one-offs, right? Because you just need one or two of these high-price transactions. It's enough to raise expectation among the public that their flats are now worth much more. Property prices play games on the mind of people. So these are high signals that cause property seller to jack up the prices, and the property buyers will have to pay accordingly. I was surprised when a senior director of property agency Hudson Asia actually warned that although the sale is an outlier, but it could spark off a trend of rising prices. So Mr. Lee says that the government intervention is needed as such a trend could significantly impact housing affordability and market stability. In 2024, the number of million-dollar flats may reach 3 to 4% of total market volume. It used to be 1%, then 2%, now 3 to 4%. The government should intervene before such transaction reach 10% of total market volume. I think it's about time someone actually says that. I don't think it's inconceivable that the transaction could reach 10% of total market volume. Talking about the government, this is where we speculate, right? I used to think that the government will intervene in the market, but this is 17 quarters and the government don't seem to intervene much in this market. I actually don't think they seem to be too bothered about the rising HDB resale flats because most of the Singaporeans are happy about the situation. If you're an existing HDB owner, you're happy. If you are a BTO buyer, you're happy. And so therefore, if you are a single, you could be priced out of the market, or if you are a high salary new flat buyer that you're not qualified to buy HDB BTO, then you could be priced out of market. Otherwise, I think most Singaporeans are quite happy about it. So this is my guess why the government don't seem to be bothered about this situation. Time will tell whether they will intervene or not intervene. But if 17 quarters have passed without intervention, chances are this might continue for quite some time, right? So in a nutshell, I don't see this whole trend reversing, but I could be wrong. What do you think? Do you think the government will intervene or not? So in conclusion, this whole situation of rising HDB resale flats is a good thing for most Singaporeans. The private property owners get an uplift from this because people who sell their HDB resale generally move upwards. So they provide some support for private property prices. The existing HDB flat owners see their flat values going up, they're happy. The BTO buyers, which are generally the young Singaporeans, see the potential of them selling their flats at high price, are also happy. The losers, which is a smaller group of Singaporeans and maybe PRs as well, probably too insignificant for government to do something. And talking about the government has not intervened for 17 quarters. I don't think they will intervene much anymore. So we should see this trend going up and up and up. So are you a winner? Are you a loser? Are you happy or not happy? Let me know in your comments below or in our Telegram group at Lu1865, and I'll see you in a day or two. Bye bye.